Hey everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Mark, I've been digging into something that's it's a head-scratcher.
Ooh, a head-scratcher? I love those. What's got you puzzled, Jenny?
It's this whole Nokia and smartphone story. I mean, they were huge, right? And then, poof. So I found this analysis by Rory Sutherland, and it's all about how they misjudged the market.
Oh yeah, the classic Nokia case. It's a perfect example of how even the biggest companies can get it wrong. They had all this data, mountains of it, saying one thing, and the reality was something completely different.
Exactly. They had these massive surveys, we're talking like 1 million people, saying that smartphones were too expensive for developing markets. The phones cost more than people's monthly income, so case closed, right?
That's what their Dimes data times said. But here's the thing about data, especially big data. It only tells you what times has happened, not necessarily what times will times happen. It's like driving by looking only in the rearview mirror.
I love that analogy, and that's where Trisha Wang comes in, right? She was doing this on-the-ground, ethnographic research.
Yeah, she was living with people, observing how they actually times use technology, not just asking them hypothetical questions on a survey. And what did she find?
That people were prioritizing smartphones, even if it seemed expensive by traditional measures. They saw the value, the connection, the asterisk, magic asterisk, I guess.
The utility. It's not just about the price tag. It's about what it unlocks for you. And that's something a survey can easily miss. It's the difference between asking, would you buy this? And seeing someone times choose to buy it, even when it stretches their budget.
And Nokia's leadership, their economists, they just couldn't wrap their heads around it. They dismissed Wang's findings because, get this, her sample size wasn't big enough.
100 incredibly insightful interviews versus 1 million shallow data points, and they went with the million. It's a classic case of what Rory Sutherland calls quantification bias, trusting numbers over human insight.
So they basically ignored the human element. They were so focused on the what, the data, that they missed the why, the human behavior.
And Sutherland makes a great point. All big data comes from one place, the past. It's a snapshot of what times was asterisk, not necessarily what times will be asterisk, especially when you have a disruptive technology like the smartphone.
It's like they were so busy looking at the past, they didn't see the future coming. Meanwhile, Apple and Samsung were seeing something different.
They were paying attention to the asterisk, context asterisk, the changing needs and desires of people. They weren't just looking at spreadsheets, they were looking at, times people.
It's a powerful lesson, isn't it? It's not about big data versus small data, or quantitative versus qualitative. It's about integrating them, seeing the whole picture.
Right. And maybe even prioritizing the qualitative sometimes, because those deep insights, that understanding of human behavior, that's where the real breakthroughs often come from.
So what's the takeaway here? For businesses, for anyone making decisions based on data,
don't get blinded by the numbers. Look for the human stories behind times the data. And remember, the future isn't always a straight line from the past.
I think it is also fair to say that there can be a disconnect between the data and the people analyzing the data. Perhaps the skill sets and knowledge weren't present at the executive level at Nokia.
That's a great point, and the research alludes to it. Perhaps if the company had different voices and areas of expertise, the outcome would have been different. Don't be afraid to seek out differing opinions, especially when the data seems too good to be true.
Great point, Mark. Always appreciate your insights. Thanks for breaking that all down with me and helping see the many angles in this case study. And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll be back next week with more explorations into the fascinating world of technology and, us.